All right, I've saved this topic for the end of the chapter because it is more of an edge case than anything else. You'll rarely encounter these symbols, but I just want you to be prepared in the off chance that you do encounter these symbols. So double sharps and double flats, they're going to function exactly as you would expect. So a double sharp, which incidentally looks like this, it raises a note not by a half step, which is what a sharp does, but it raises a note by a whole step. Makes sense, right? Double a half step gives you a whole step. A double flat, which looks like this, 2 consecutive flats, it lowers a note not by a half step as a flat does, but by a whole step, so like 2 consecutive half steps. So as you see, here are some examples of double sharps. Here are some examples of double flats. Again, where would you encounter these? Well, you would encounter them in particularly tricky key signatures. So you might encounter some double flats like in the key of D flat major with some modal borrowing. You might encounter, for instance, an F double sharp in the key of G sharp minor. So we'll cover all of that when we get to our scales section, but let me just give you a brief tour of how they work. I'm sure you can guess exactly how they function. Let's sneak in a treble clef here. We don't quite have enough room, but so be it. This note is a C, and we would write it as a CX, although we don't really call it that. We call it C double sharp. So what does that mean? Well, if this is our C, we're not going to play the C. We're not going to play that note. We're going to play this note. So it often goes by the name of D, but in this case, we're calling it C double sharp. So again, you're going up by a whole step from the starting position. Here we've got a G double sharp. So if that's a G, 1, 2, we go up 2 half steps or 1 whole step. So this one is G double sharp. Yes, most of the time it goes by the name of A, but it could theoretically be G double sharp. What about double flats? Again, let's plug in a treble clef for the sake of demonstration. Let's clear this. If you have this first note, well, that is a B double flat, is how we would write it out. So let's say here's our B, and we're going to go to the left by 2 consecutive half steps. So 1, 2. All right, so we land on this note. So this is B double flat. Yes, it goes by A most of the time, but it could also go by B double flat. And what about this one up here? G double flat. So here's our G, 1, 2. So this one lands us on that note, which we're calling G double flat. Yes, it can also be called F, and it usually is. So those are 2 edge cases to be aware of. You'll encounter them as you perform more advanced music and more chromatic music and music that involves trickier keys.